So I thought about doing a story that I've performed before, but in the spirit of vulnerability, I'm going to try a new one. And it was honestly hard for me to think of a story because, Abdul told me about the theme, The Devil Made Me Do It. And I look back at my life, and I just haven't done very many devilish things. When I was in high school, I went to prep school here in Oakland, and my whole world was centered around, get into a good college so that you get a good job, so that you get a good life. And when you're in high school, the get into a good college is sort of, for me, it was the center of my whole world. So I'm 16 years old, and I'm going to spend my summer in Costa Rica. And this is a language immersion program. It's going to be a really good opportunity for me to learn Spanish. It's going to look really great on my college application. But in reality, I'm looking for two things. I want to party, and I want to hook up with boys. These are the two things I'm looking for my summer in Costa Rica. And so I arrive, I go with a really close friend of mine, and we're looking around the room, looking at all these other people that we're going to spend the month with. And there are 3 measly guys and maybe 18 girls in this group. So I'm starting to get a little worried. And the quality, I've already mentioned the quantity isn't great. The quality, also very low. There's sort of one guy who's kind of too cool for school, has a girlfriend, whatever. I'm not interested. There's another sort of sporty jock guy. And then there's one guy who looks so young, it's just like he can't possibly be on this program. Like he must be 12 years old. So the prospects are looking really low. And we go to 3 cities. The first city is called Heredia. And, I have these dreams. We're going to go out, we're going to go clubbing. And I find out very quickly that our curfew in Heredia is 7 p.m. So I go to class for 4 hours a day, and then I come home and I eat dinner with my family, and then that's just it. And we spend, the entire night at home. And the only activity we did with this family was we went to La Iglesia with them. We went to church. And just to let you know, these are 2 vaguely a-religious Jewish girls at this very packed Costa Rican church with like a life-size Jesus. And that was sort of my going out experience in Heredia. So Heredia ends, it's time to go to Monteverde. And this is kind of like a touristy place. This is this really actually incredible mountain town. And there's this really big cloud forest. It's kind of like a rainforest, but it's sort of enveloped in clouds. And I'm thinking, touristy town, we're going out, this is going to be great. We get to Monteverde. And our host family clearly just does not give a fuck about us. They get some sort of stipend for hosting people. So they don't give us the time of day. At the time I was vegetarian, and they just sort of didn't get the concept. So I was getting this like meat every meal and just kind of picking around it. And our room was so small that we weren't able to close the door to our room. The bed was sort of poking out of the door. And so all of their conversations, like talking shit about us, all of their parties, we could just hear everything. And while we're in Monteverde, my roommate gets a tropical intestinal infection. And we're sharing these close quarters. And needless to say, we're not going out. And I think sort of the most kind of exciting memory I have from Monteverde is we feel so lonely and so confused. We're 16 years old in Monteverde that we decide we're just going to shower together. We feel so uncomfortable in this home that we're clearly not welcome in. And we're naked and the water is pouring on us. And for whatever reason, we just start singing the Star Spangled Banner. We were just belting it. Oh, say, can you see? And we know these people are just like laughing their asses off, but like we are clutching onto each other singing the Star Spangled Banner. So finally we end up in Playa Flamingo. This is even more touristy. This is kind of the Costa Rica that a lot of people kind of imagine in their minds. And it's a beach. And my friend's tropical intestinal infection has sort of started to alleviate. And we finally get to the last day of this program. And we're at this all-inclusive hotel. So I'm like, perfect. Party boys. Like, we're going to find this. But I'm 16 years old, so I don't get the wristband. There's no access to alcohol at all. And I just need this trip to end. Like, I just need it to be over. And I sort of lay out and I open my book. I was reading The Odyssey for 9th grade. And it just starts pouring rain on me. So finally, I'm so fucked. This story is not even close to done. So we are at this all-inclusive hotel, and we find out there's a discoteca tonight. And I end up meeting these two British guys. They're 21 and 23, and we can't get alcohol, but they absolutely can. The 21-year-old is total smoke show. His name is Adam. He's actually not that cute, but he has a British accent, so that kind of like overlays on what he looks like. And so the night comes, and it's time to go to the discoteca, and I'm just so run down from this trip that I can't even bring myself to go. I'm just like, fuck the discoteca, like, fuck this place, like, I need to go home. And soon after my friends go to the discoteca, they run back, and they decide we're gonna go out. And that's the cliffhanger that I'm gonna leave you on until my second part of the story.
That's Nora. Nora, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And really enjoyed your story, and I want to hear part 2 of that story. Anybody else want to hear the rest of that story? And so here we go.
Okay. All right, part 2. After a brief hiatus. So my friends come back from the discoteca, and we have this realization. We can leave the hotel. We can go. And the only thing that's been keeping us from doing this for this entire month is this one very important fact to me at the time and to me now. On the Common Application, which is what you fill out to apply to every college in America, there's one part of it that says, have you ever been expelled from an academic institution? So if you get kicked out of one of these programs, you have to put on every single college application, yes, I have been expelled from an academic institution. But we figure this is the last night. They're not going to be able to kick us out because technically there won't be any time left in the trip. And, you know, my whole goal in my life up until this point has been getting into a good college. But I don't know what made me do it. It might have been the devil, but we decided to go out that night. So we get to the lobby. You know, I have party basically checked off. We're about to go party. But boys is still, you know, lacking in a dire way. And we get to the lobby, and the two British guys are there. And not only do they want to go out with us, we start drinking shots. We have this shot of tequila and chase it with beer. I'm 16 years old. This is the most badass thing I've ever done in my life. Might still be. And so we decide, we're all going to go out. We're going to go to Monkey Bar. So the first group, like our group of people, leaves in a cab. And it's just myself and two other people from my group. And the British guys decide they're going to come with us. So we get in the car, and I kind of fancy myself the Spanish translator. So I said to him, hey, you know, we're going to Monkey Bar. Can you take us there? And he says, you know, in Spanish, what's Monkey Bar? There is no Monkey Bar. So we realize half of our group has, you know, been carted off in a cab to ? Somewhere in Playa Flamingo. So we say, you know what? Just take us to a bar. So he drives up, and of course he sees, you know, a bunch of whiteys, and he just takes us to this very touristy bar. It's called Blue. And so we get in, and at the time it seemed like really swanky. I've never been in a bar in my life. I'm 16. And it has this like blue lighting, and it says blue, and it's playing like music, and it's all just like a bunch of like very sunburned white people kind of like trying to dance, and it's sad. And we go up to the bar, sort of like, trying to like, how do you order a drink at a bar? And they just push these two bright blue drinks at us, like it's all blue curacao or something. And like, first one's on the house for ladies. So we take this shot, and I'm just like, I'm the most badass person I know. And, we leave. We've had sort of our drink. We come back. There's another bartender, and he goes, first one's on the house for ladies, pushes them to us. Take my other shot of blue curacao. And I am just, like, riding high. And I'm starting to talk to the younger of the British guys. His name is Adam. And, he might have some acne. He might, be 21 talking to a 16-year-old at a bar. But he is fine. Like, he will do in the circumstances. And so we're getting our second free shot of blue stuff. And I start looking back to my table. And of course, that baby-ass looking guy on my program is sitting there with these two very stern-looking security guys. And I get back, and they're saying, can I see your passport? Can I see your ID? I don't think you're 18. So the very first time I go to a bar, I am also kicked out of a bar. So we leave Blue, and there's sort of this moment of truth. This group of like 16-year-old kids are leaving Blue, and I turn back, and I'm like, is my British friend going to come? Like, is this going to happen tonight? And they kind of seem torn, and they hop in the cab with us. So I just say in Spanish, just take us somewhere where we can dance. Just take us, somewhere where we can have fun. So we get to this other bar, and in all the ways that Blue is sort of like touristy and kind of trying to be something, this place isn't trying to be shit. This is just a place to go. It's dirty. It's like amazing. Everyone is dancing their asses off. And we start getting in there, and we start dancing, and we run into our other group. Turns out the rest of our group is there, and it's just this like joyous moment. And the British guy, his name is Adam, he and I are talking, and I remember he bought me a drink, and I take a sip of it, and I'm just so disappointed. I'm like, he just got me a Coke. Like, why would he give me just like a Coca-Cola? He must just be like embarrassed to be with someone who's so young. And I'm feeling kind of weird, not really sure what's going on with this guy. Like, what is sort of the move there? So night gets later and later, and finally we're walking back to the hotel. I have no idea where the hotel is. I have 300 colones in my pocket, which is, at the time, a little bit less than $1. And finally, the British guys, at the time, the pound was 2-to-1 to the dollar. The dollar was several hundred to colones, so, they splurge and they get us a cab. And we get in the cab, and we're all kind of squished up. And the British guy's arm is sort of like around mine, just kind of by chance, like we're all squished. But then he kind of starts doing that thing where he's sort of rubbing my shoulder. And I'm like, it's on. And so finally, the sun is starting to rise, just barely. It's still dark out, but the sun is starting to rise. And he and I end up in this hammock together. And we're talking, and it's warm, the air is heavy, it's beautiful. And I can tell, like, he's about to make a move. I'm going to have my Costa Rican party. I'm going to have my Costa Rican booty. And I feel that he's starting to make a move, and I feel sort of this, like, rising sense of excitement. And then I realize it's not excitement, it's this rising sense of nausea. Because after the tequila and all of the blue, whatever, and all of the probably rum and Coke that I was so drunk I just thought was Coke is finally starting to rise in my body, and I realize I have to go. And so I just sort of like barrel roll out of the hammock, and he looks really confused. He gets out, and he kisses me on the forehead. And I go back to my room, and I never consummated that. And I always sort of had this deep regret about that I never had my Costa Rican love. But at least I had my Costa Rican party. Thank you.